Hey, what's up guys? It's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a zombie world test stand video. So I'm really excited to show you guys this deck, because this deck is an absolutely crazy deck, playing one of the most powerful field spells in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zombie World, that turns every monster on the field and in the graveyard into zombie cards. This deck summons out one of the coolest looking boss monsters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the form of Doom King Ballardrot, and plays some really awesome extra deck monsters. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name description in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test stands. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this deck, ironically enough, never really has dead hands. This deck always has really good hands. I really love the way that it plays. The danger monsters help out the deck a lot, and basically what you're trying to do is get Doom King Ballardrot onto your side of the field as quickly as possible, backing it up with Zombie World so it can just keep coming back over and over again because it's a walking negate. You can use it for materials, for all sorts of different stuff. It's very easy to play, and it actually goes in for one of the best starters in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the form of Unizombie, because Unizombie basically gets you to everything in the deck, which is really, really amazing. I love the way this deck plays. You can basically play it any way that you want to, which is really amazing, and it is a 41 card deck. It is basically just generic zombie monsters with your Zombie World package, which is really, really cool because you can use any zombie monster pretty much in this deck and change it up to be your own personal build. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. And if you guys want to check out the deck profile, it is down in the description down below. But let's see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and draw. Then we're going to draw into an Effect Veiler, which is pretty good right off the bat. A copy of Danger Noodle, a copy of Zombie World, which is already great, a copy of Danger Nessie, and a copy of Unizombie. We got the best starter. So let's see what we can do with this first hand. So immediately, you know, we're going to activate it. We're activating Zombie World right off the bat. You've got to get Zombie World on the field because it turns everything into a zombie. So we're thinking to normal summon the copy of Unizombie, and Unizombie will actually let us dump a zombie from the deck, which we're going to immediately drop a copy of Gloomba. I always drop Gloomba because immediately you can just use its effect and special summon out a copy of Doom King because we control Zombie World, which is so good for this deck. Because if you guys are unfamiliar with what Gloomba actually does, we're going to go ahead and take a quick read at it. So what it does is if this card, and if you guys want to check out the deck profile, it is down in the description down below, but what this card does is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand. Or if you control Zombie World, you can special summon that monster from your deck instead. Also, in either case, you can't special summon monsters for this turn except for zombies, which is not that big of a deal because we're not actually going to summon any other ones anyways. This is a totally fine field. During the next turn, you can go for more plays. You can play a little bit more reserved if you want to before you activate this. You could normal summon the copy of Unizombie, wait on this play, and then be able to go in for more plays with that field. But this is totally fine because I don't want to hit that Effect Veiler, and this is actually a really good play. So what we're going to do from here is we're actually just going to pass the opponent. This is a walking negate. It's a walking banish. So this card is really, really good. You could link summon it away if you want to and link both of these monsters away for a copy of a Needle Fiber, which would be a decent play. So you could go ahead and just get rid of these cards off your side of the field if you want to go in for a copy of Vampire Sucker instead, because you can't go in for anything but zombies. So this card is going to just give you another play. And then you can basically special summon back your copy of your Ballardrot during your opponent's standby phase, which is so good about this deck to go into a copy of Ballardrot. So at that point, you can basically just let your opponent do their thing, and you can use this card to be able to stop stuff, and everything's becoming a zombie because of Zombie World, which is really good. Now, the reason you actually get to summon Ballardrot back is because we have Zombie World on the field, which is really, really good. So when our opponent passes back to us, we're going to go ahead and draw. We're going to say that we discarded the Effect Veiler to stop something. And at this point, you can use the effect of your danger monsters, which is totally fine. You don't need them on the first turn. You can build them up, but this is when you really start going in for some crazy plays. So we're going to use the copy of Danger Nessie right off the bat, and we're going to say 1, 2, 3. We're going to shuffle up these cards really quickly, and we're going to go ahead and roll a dice. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to drop that dice. And we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to hit the copy of the Plague Spreader. So we're actually going to special summon out the copy of the Danger Nessie to our side of the field, which is going to let us draw a card. So at this point, you can basically, if you want to, go in for another one, if you want to go for the Danger Noodle, or you can just activate the copy of Ready Fusion, which is what I would totally recommend. We're going to special summon out the copy of the Sea Monster, and then now you can activate the copy of the Danger Noodle, which will discard itself to the graveyard, and then immediately special summon itself. And then we're going to go ahead and synchro these two monsters on our side of the field together to summon out from the extra deck a copy of our Chaos Ruler. So Chaos Ruler is going to help us out a lot because it can actually mill the top couple of cards off the deck, top 5. And once we do that, we get to add a light or dark monster among them to our hand and send the rest to the graveyard. And you guys know zombies love playing from the grave. So we're going to send a Gozuki, a Banshee, a Glow Up Bloom, which is already really good, and a copy of Gozuki. So we're going to grab the copy of Banshee. All of these will go to the graveyard. And as soon as that Glow Up Bloom touches the graveyard, guess what? We can't special summon anything but zombies for the rest of the turn, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and banish that card. And guess what we're getting from the deck? Yep, we're getting a second copy of Baller Draught. And now we can switch this copy of Baller Draught to attack position, and then now you just kind of go in at the opponent. You can activate the copy of Vampire Sucker to revive one back to their side of the field from the graveyard, and then use its effect to be able to let you draw a card, and then Baller Draught will banish a card on the field, which is really, really good, because then at this point you can normal summon the copy of Banshee if you want to normal summon the Banshee, which was just really, really helpful. So you have all these really good plays. So let's go ahead and go into the next one and see what we can do for the next play. As you guys can see, this deck is very, very consistent. If you can establish these two on the field, you pretty much do a soft lock against your opponent, because basically you're going to lock them down where they can't go into any plays using the copy of Rivalry plus the copy of Zombie World unless they're playing zombie monsters, which is really important to keep in mind, because using these two cards is just so good, because you can only control one type of monster, which is going to be zombie. And basically this makes everything zombie on the field, so you can make it so that both you and your opponent can only control zombie monsters, because this is making their monsters zombies, and this is making it so they can only control zombies, because if they already control a monster, it's a zombie. So basically you can make it so they can't summon anything at all, which is really fun to be able to do. So let's go ahead and shuffle up the deck and see what we can do for the next test hand. As you guys can see, this deck is absolutely bonkers. Being able to summon double Baller Draught by turn 2 is just really, really good, and being able to just immediately establish that zombie world is just so good. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck, and let's see what we can do for the next one. We're going to draw into a copy of Ash Blossom, really good right off the bat. Ready Fusion, another Ash Blossom, Gozuki, and a copy of Unizombie. We've already hit the best extender in the entire deck, which is Unizombie. So at this point, you really just have to go ahead and normal summon out that copy of Unizombie, use its effect to be able to send from your deck to the graveyard a copy of Banshee, and Banshee is going to be able to banish itself from the graveyard to be able to give you that copy of Zombie World, which is very important for this deck to be able to go in for, because you just really need to get to that copy of our Zombie World. So this card actually has the ability that zombie worlds in the field spell zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, and also neither player can target with card effects. And quick effect, you manage to card from your field or graveyard to activate a zombie world directly from your hand or deck. So we're going to activate the copy of Zombie World directly from the deck. And then at this point, we can use the copy of Unizombie to send our copy of Gozuki to the graveyard to increase it to level 5. Then we can use the copy of Ready Fusion. And once we use that copy of Ready Fusion, if you want to play a little bit defensively, you can summon this card to your side of the field. And this is actually a level 5 now, because you've increased it by sending one monster from the deck and one monster from the hand to the graveyard. And you can go for a synchro play if you want to at this point. It kind of depends on what you want to go for. I usually, going first, will summon a Beals, because my opponent is usually going to have a lot of problems dealing with the Beals. Or you can actually summon out the copy of the Chaos Ruler if you feel like you can go in for more plays. It kind of depends on what you want to go for. Totally up to you. But the copy of Chaos Ruler, if we did summon it, let's take a quick peek and show you guys what you would hit if you did go for that little bit of risk. And what you would actually hit is a copy of Gozuki, Super Poly, Glow Up Bloom, Mizuki, and Unizombie. I say that is definitely worth the risk, because you're really going to get some good plays off of those, which is why I wanted to show you guys what you would hit going for the risk before we actually do, which is what's really awesome about this deck, being able to go for this really powerful card. So at this point, your copy of your Glow Up Bloom will actually go off. Banish that copy of Glow Up Bloom from the graveyard, and then we're going to special summon from our extra deck, or from our deck, excuse me, a copy of Baller Drop, which we've already established that Baller Drop to give us a negate, and we have the double Ash Blossom to be able to hit our opponent at least one time with the Ash. And then this card also has the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster from your graveyard to special summon a zombie monster from our hand, which could be the Ash if we wanted to, but we don't really need to summon Ash. But you also have the effect of our Mizuki to be able to bring back the Gozuki if you want to send an additional zombie monster to the graveyard, or you can let it sit where it is, which is usually what I like to do. Just leave that Mizuki in the graveyard because you don't super need to go into it because you can't go anything but zombies for the rest of the turn anyway. So at that point, you pass over to the opponent. Your opponent's going to go in for more plays. You have the effect of the Baller Drop to give you additional negates, and this is a 3,000 attack point monster, which is really good. You have the effect of the Ash Blossom that you can discard. The effect of Zombie World is going to turn everything into a zombie, which is really good. And then we go into the next turn, and we're going to draw into a Rivalry of Warlords, which is just going to give us the complete setup. We're going to go ahead and set that card to our side of the field. Use the effect of the Mizuki in the graveyard to revive back our copy of Unizombie. Unizombie's effect will go off, and you can actually send another zombie monster from the deck to the graveyard, which is going to be a card called Glow Up Bloom all over again. Then we're going to summon out a copy of our Baller Drop from the deck because you need another copy of Baller Drop on the field. Why not? It's already big. It's already awesome. Let's go ahead and summon Baller Drop again. And then at that point, you can really pass against the opponent. And the really cool thing is that everything currently on the field is zombie. But the really awesome thing about this is with your copy of Rivalry, now, each player must send monsters from his or her side of the field until they only control one type of monster. So if our opponent has any monster on the field that's not a zombie monster, they can't, or they have just one monster on the field. So let's say this is like a copy of, I don't know, a Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, okay? Like this is any card that you want to say it is. Or your opponent's playing Shaddoll, okay? And they have this one monster on their side of the field. Let's just say they have this. If they're not playing any other zombies, this is the only card that they can control because you have Rivalry on the field. Unless they're attempting to summon a zombie monster, that's it. They can't summon anything else, which is really, really funny about this deck. So we're going to go ahead and ditch this to the graveyard and block our opponent from searching, which is really, really cool about this to be able to stop them from searching. And then at that point, you kind of just go in for game. Even if you draw next turn, you're going to draw on a Mothman, you're not going to summon it, you're going to go in for game with this, and you pretty much win because you've soft locked them with the Rivalry. If they can't deal with the Rivalry, it's fine. We can protect it anyways with the copy of Baller Drop. It's really easy to just stop your opponent with card effects with that Baller Drop activating. If they activate a zombie monster's effect on the field, then you just be able to activate that card's effect and stop it, which is why this card is so good with your copy of Unizombie, because you can synchro it together for a level 8 and then get your copy of your Chaos Ruler on your side of the field to go in for those really, really good plays. So let's go ahead and do another one and see what we can do for the next test hand. As you guys can see, this deck is really good. I really love the way that it plays. It just does so many good plays and goes into so many powerful boss monsters and so many cool plays in the deck. The really cool thing is when you combo the copy of Super Poly with our copy of our Zombie World, because with these comboed together, you can get rid of any monsters on your opponent's side of the field. I really quickly want to show you guys this combo. If you activate the copy of Super Poly by discarding any card from your hand to the graveyard, and say your opponent has 2 monsters on their side of the field, while you control Zombie World, you can actually use the copy of Super Polymerization to fusion summon away both of these monsters on their side of the field by discarding a zombie to the graveyard, or any card from our hand with Super Poly. You can then summon out a copy of our Dragon Necro Nether Soul Dragon, which is a really awesome card that basically just outs any 2 cards on our opponent's side of the field because you're using Super Poly to deal with them and stack a zombie in the graveyard, which is really helpful because usually our zombies are never truly dead in the graveyard. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for the next one. As you guys can see, really awesome 2-card combos in this deck. Again, I really love the way that it plays. It's really fun to be able to play zombies because they have so many combos in this deck. So we're going to go ahead and draw into a copy of Danger Nessie, Ready Fusion, Effect Veiler, Danger Noodle, and a copy of Baller Drought. So right off the bat, we have the copy of Baller Drought, which is pretty good, but we don't have any way to get to Zombie World. So we're going to go ahead and set the copy of Ready Fusion. And at this point, you could normal summon out the copy of Veiler if you really had to and you really didn't want to hit it. You could normal summon the Veiler because then you could go for Needle Fiber and go from there if you really, really had to. But hopefully we get to special summon out this copy of the Danger Noodle. So at this point, I'm not going to worry about it because I do have the Ready Fusion set. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the copy of my Danger Nessie. I usually activate Nessie right off the bat because it's going to get me the majority of my play. Actually, normal summon out the Veiler. Do it. Why not? Let's see what happens. Because if I hit the Nessie and I get to special summon it, I can go for an 8. So we're going to go ahead and drop this, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's actually going to be the copy of the Danger Noodle, which will special summon itself to your side of the field. And then the copy of Danger Nessie will special summon itself to your side of the field, and you get to draw, which is an instant fusion. You got to be kidding me. That's so good. Okay. So now you can synchro these two monsters to the graveyard and then summon out a copy of your Chaos Ruler. And then you can actually use the copy of the Ready Fusion to be able to special summon out from the extra deck a copy of your Sea Monster. And then you can go in for another play, which will actually link these two monsters together and summon out a copy of Needle Fiber, which is going to help us out a lot to go into Needle Fiber because it's going to special summon out a tuner from the deck, which is going to give us a copy of, say, Glow Up Bloom or Unizombie, depending on which one we want. It doesn't super matter which one you go for here, but it's going to help you out a lot. Let's go ahead and actually leave those monsters on the field before we summon out the copy of the Needle Fiber to our side of the field, because we're actually going to activate the copy of our Chaos Ruler, and we're going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck really quick and send the top 5 from our deck to the graveyard. And if we hit something really good, we might get some really insane plays. So we're going to go ahead and cut the deck, and then we're going to go ahead and draw 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we actually have to take the copy of Banshee, and the rest of these are going to go to the graveyard, which is totally fine because you can just normal summon out the copy of Banshee because we're actually going to be able to go in for plays if we didn't normal summon that Veiler. But it's still okay. We still have plays that we can go for in this particular hand. We just can't get our Zombie World right off the bat, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. You can go in for more plays later. So let's take a look really quick and see what we can summon. You can summon Needle Fiber if you want to summon Needle Fiber. That is an option for you guys if you want to go for that card, which the Needle Fiber would be very, very, very easy to summon. You could summon out a copy of, say, I don't think you can summon, no, you can't summon Beals because this is a water tuner monster, but let's go just directly in for the copy of Needle Fiber. So we're going to summon out Needle Fiber to our side of the field, and I'm going to special summon out from the deck a copy of my Plague Spreader Zombie because I don't control a copy of Zombie World on my side of the field, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's okay. We can still go in for more plays later. So at this point, you can, if you want to, go for more stuff, but you don't want to overextend in this deck because if you overextend, you're not going to have any plays going into the next turn. So at this point, you could kind of just pass to the opponent. And once they go to their turn, you can tag this card out, banish it, summon out your copy of Formula Synchron if you want to. And once you summon out that copy of Formula Synchron, the effect is going to go off to be able to let you draw a card off the copy of the Formula Synchron, which is going to be a Ready Fusion. And then you can immediately synchro summon these two monsters together, summon out your copy of Shiranui Sun Saiga, which is really good for this deck, just to be able to summon out that copy of your Sun Saiga, to be able to get that card onto your side of the field is just really, really good because it's a 3,500 attack point zombie. So after you do that, if your opponent goes, they'll probably destroy the copy of the Plague Spreader Zombie. If they don't get rid of this, that's totally fine. If they do, it's fine too. So we're going to go ahead and draw into the copy of Unizombie. Now we're going to town. We can activate the copy of Unizombie, send this card from our hand to the graveyard, and then activate a copy of Zombie World by banishing out the copy of the Banshee, which is going to get us into some really insane plays. And now that zombie will go up to a level 4. Now we can use the Unizombie's second effect to go in again and send a copy of Glow Up Bloom this time, and then special summon out our copy of our Baller Drought to our side of the field by banishing that copy of Glow Up Bloom, which is really good. We can't go into any other plays that are not zombie monsters for the rest of the turn, but that's totally fine. We don't really need to go into anything else for this particular setup. Now this will actually go to a level 5, and at this point you can kind of attack into your opponent with these monsters on your side of the field, which is still a pretty good setup, to be honest with you guys, with Zombie World on the field and then these on your side of the field. You could use this to go into a copy of Flame Ghost and then finally go into a Vampire Sucker if you need to, which would help out a little bit to go into the copy of Vampire Sucker, just a little bit, because then the baller draw could banish something on the field and you get a draw, which would help out a little bit, but I'm not super concerned about it. But if you do, you would use the copy of Instant Fusion, or you can use it next turn with the copy of Unizombie to go into a Beals, which is usually what I like to do. Just wait on it and go for the copy of Beals later. So you can attack with all 3 of these, pass to the opponent, go into the next turn, draw into this, and then activate the copy of Instant Fusion, special summon out your copy of your Flame Ghost, and then immediately synchro these 2 monsters together if your opponent didn't deal with it, and you could stop them enough with the copy of Doom King, because this is 5, this is 3, and then we're going to summon out a copy of Beals to our side of the field, which is just going to give us a really, really good card on our side of the field. Now you can set this card face down, and then activate your Mothman. This is even, this is odd, so we're going to drop this, and we're going to go even right here, and we're going to hit the copy of Baller Drop, which will special summon out to our side of the field the copy of Mothman, which then we're going to get to draw a card as well, which we draw, we're going to draw into a Unizombie, which at that point we have a normal summon, so we can normal summon the Unizombie, use its effect to send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard, which we are just going to send anyone that we don't need. At this point, I'm probably going to send a copy of the Solitaire to the graveyard because I don't need it. And then this card becomes level 4 on your side of the field, and you can actually synchro summon into another monster, or instead of sending that to the graveyard, you could actually leave it in the deck, just normal summon out that copy of the Unizombie. Since these are both zombies, you could synchro on these 2 together as a follow-up play, even if they board wiped you, to summon out your copy of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon, which is so good. This card actually gains attack for basically every single monster that's in the graveyard by 100, and Zombie World being on the field, this card makes everything a zombie, which is super, super good. With all the zombies we have in the graveyard, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's gaining 1,400, so it's at 3,800. And then you can also use the copy of, in the graveyard, or copy of Mizuki if you want to. And then you can bring back your copy of your Baller Draught as well, setting up this crazy field. And if your opponent couldn't deal with any of this, they really can't deal with it now, because you have all this on the field to be able to just go in for game. So I think that pretty much well establishes what Zombie World is doing. You never really go into any dead hands, as you guys could see with this deck. You still had plays, even if you had to wait a single turn to go into them, you still had some crazy good plays to go into in this deck. I love the way this deck plays. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. It just never runs out of gas, which is just awesome. I really love the way that it plays, and you just, like, it always has a play. Like, it literally always has a play. As long as you have zombies in the graveyard that can revive, you have a play. You have so many outs in this deck with your copy of the Dragon Necro. You have plays in the deck where you can get into OTKs with Boral Sword. Just for simplicity's sake, we play Boral Sword. You have cards like Borreload Savage that give you negations if you need them. This card is busted in this deck. The Chaos Ruler is just crazy. And then your Beals is just a good defense card. So you have so many good plays in this deck. And then Ready Fusion just takes this deck over the edge into some really crazy territory that it never could do before. And it just makes this deck so much better. And it's just so good. Like, I love this deck. So I think that's going to do it for this deck, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad. If you guys would like to check out the deck profile, as always, it is down in the description down below. But we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.